Internet, Eric here again. Down here in my basement doing some laundry, getting ready to do some laundry, and I figured, you know what? What the hell? Why not do another movie review? I'm kind of in the mood to do one. This review is actually the idea of my wife, and she suggested it that me and my buddy do it on on our other channel, which I'll put the link down here in the description, which we call Whitey the White Guy. Shameless plug. And it's basically he plays the role of Whitey, I play the role of Cracker, which explains my YouTube handle as being Cracker, and we're just two white boys from the Midwest. Oh shit! Discussing movies and telling random stories. But she suggested the shit. She suggested this movie like 6 months ago, and we did a review, and it turned out to be real shitty, and we actually just never did it again. So I'm gonna do it. What the fuck? And this came out in 1985, directed by Richard Donner from Lethal Weapon fame. He directed all the Lethal Weapon movies, to my knowledge, and among other things. I don't have my phone on me, and I'm not gonna Wikipedia this shit. With a huge, now famous cast, and I'm talking about the Goonies. And I have probably seen this movie at least 50 times over, coming out in 1985. And I said, a lot of recognizable people. We have, Josh Brolin, who is now a huge star. Sean Astin, huge star. Corey Feldman, who's Corey Feldman. But then we also have the wonderful Anne Ramsey from Throw Mama from the Train. I'm gonna butcher his last name, but Joe Pantoliano, from everything. And then you have recognizable people. You have Ke Huy Quan, who was a Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Carrie Green, probably my first redheaded crush, who was also in Lucas, among other things. Martha Plimpton, who disappeared for a while after being in Parenthood, and then she shows up in Raising Hope, which I guess was a somewhat hit on Fox. Shit. All right. Well, The Goonies is the story. The plot of The Goonies is simple, and again, if you haven't fucking seen The Goonies, spoilers are going to be abound. Like I said, this movie came out in '85, and almost 99% of the human population has seen it. But it focuses on the Walsh family, which is older brother Brandon, played by Josh Brolin, and younger brother Mikey, played by Sean Astin. And they belong to a little group that they call the Goonies, which stand because they live in an area of houses that they call the Goondocks, which is basically like, the poor side of town. Not like the ghetto, but just like right above it. And, they have their select group of friends, Ke Huy Quan, I said he plays Data, a wannabe inventor who idolizes James Bond, Corey Feldman, who plays Mouth, and that's a nickname because he just runs his mouth. And then we have Chunk, obviously, Chunk, because he's the fat kid. And then we find out that the group of houses that they live in are being torn down. So, as their final little get together, they're up in their dad's attic, up in the attic, belonging to Brand and Mikey. And what happens is they find a treasure map, and the treasure map belongs to an old pirate, from the Revolution days, when fucking pirates were around. And it belonged to One-Eyed Willy. And supposedly, according to a story that Mikey tells, that his dad told him, that One-Eyed Willy was he was a stereotypical pirate. Raped and pillaged, stole gold, blah, 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 and he hid it away. And it was never been found. Now they decide we're gonna go find it, because what the fuck have we got to lose? We're losing our house within a week or two. I don't really know. So as they're going on this adventure, they also meet up with Carrie Green and Martha Plimpton, Andy and Stephanie, respectively. I think their characters' names are. And as they're searching for, One-Eyed Willy's treasure, what happens is they come across the Fratelli family, led by Mama, Ann Ramsey, and her sons Jake and... Fuck, I can't think of... I'm going to call him Joey Pants. Joey Pantolianos. Joey Pants' his name. Francis, I believe. The three of them they had just broken Jake out of prison, so they're on the run, and they're hiding out in this little, this little summer restaurant area. And that is where the Goonies are, underground, searching for the buried treasure. And eventually, the Fratellis find out about this, chase the kids while searching for the treasure, blah, blah, blah. Kids encounter booby traps to get to One-Eyed Willy's treasure. Eventually, they find One-Eyed Willy's pirate ship, have to have the final confrontation with the Fratellis, the end. Now, there's a side story where Chunk, like I said, Chunk, because he's fat, he gets separated from the group, and he's caught by the Fratellis. And he's put in the basement with the Fratellis' other son, and he is named Sloth. And he is a deformed human being. We don't know if he was born that way, if he was abused. I don't think he's mentally handicapped, but then again, who knows, because they keep him chained in the fucking basement. And the side story is Chunk befriends Sloth, and then they go to try to find the rest of the group. Now, I've said I've seen this movie probably 50 fucking times, and I still see this, and I cannot praise this movie enough. Now, granted, I don't know if it's because of the nostalgia factor, because sometimes I'm not in the right mood to watch The Goonies. But then again, maybe I think that's because I love this movie so much that I don't want to tarnish that love by oversaturation. Because this movie is classic. It's got a perfect Steven Spielberg touch, and he actually wrote the story and was the executive producer as well. So you could tell. It's classic 80s Spielberg. And one of the best things about this movie is the cohesiveness of the group of Goonies. I mean, you have Mikey as the young kid who's trying to do right by everybody. Brand as the... he's the older brother of Mikey who he just wants to torture Mikey. Like, Mikey, he's just a little nuisance. However, he will give his life to save his brother if he's in trouble. Data, which is Ki-Hoi Kwan, the Asian kid who I said was the obsessive person, the kid who was obsessed with being James Bond and being an inventor. He is a great comedic foil. Great in bringing in the comedy because he's a wannabe inventor, but all of his inventions suck. Like, there's a scene where the Fratellis are after them, and one of his inventions is a belt, but it's got a boxing glove, of course, attached to it, so it's supposed to punch the attacker. Of course, it punches him in the face. And little stuff like that. And some of his inventions are perfect. Like, there's a scene where they're, again, running from the Fratellis, and he has something called slick shoes. And what he does is he pulls a little string on his belt. He's like a mixture of James Bond and Batman, because he's got this fucking utility belt. And the back of his sneakers open up, and it shoots oil behind him. And, of course, in a very good scene, the Fratellis slip on it, and, that's causes the Goonies to get away. But, the performances are great, and considering that all these are young kids. I mean, Chunk is there, played by Jeff Cohen. He's there just for the comic relief because he's a fat kid. You'd think he gets annoying, and a lot of people do think he is. I personally think he's not. I mean, he does walk that fine line of annoyance, but it's still done very well where he's still below that level of annoyance. He's not like fucking Jake Lloyd in Phantom Menace. The girls, Carrie Green, Martha Plimpton, are there to be, the female characters. Cannot praise Ann Ramsey's performance enough as Mother Fratelli. Intimidating and scary, but she also loves her sons. But then again, she also hates her sons because of their they're basically bumbling idiots. But she's so intimidating. One of my favorite scenes is when they're in, hot pursuit of the Goonies. And they're in a tunnel, and it's basically the camera's just focusing on Ann Ramsey, and she's just tunneling down, the tunnel like a bat out of hell after him, and you just hear this, like she's a fucking rhino charging at the kids, and it's just fantastic, very scary. Like there's a scene where the kids just enter the diner, and they meet up with Ann Ramsey, and her and her sons have just obviously killed a person. Because, Chunk has witnessed the body in the background. And Ann Ramsey's got to play it cool, like she works there. And there's a scene where all the kids ask for water. And she delivers this nasty-ass fucking brown fluid. And Corey Feldman, his mouth, he says, you call this water? And she looks dead straight at Corey Feldman. She says, it's wet, ain't it? Drink it! And, just scares the shit out of all those kids. Threatens him, Corey Feldman, with a knife, which we all want to do, and fucking scares the shit out of all these kids, and then cackles like a fucking witch, and it's so scary and so well done. She's probably the best performance in this movie. Speaking of performances, Corey Feldman. A lot of times, Corey Feldman is hit and miss through his entire career. And in his personal life. He's just a fucking Looney Tune. If you've ever seen, I just recently watched Celebrity Wife Swap. Him and Tommy Davidson swap lives for like a week. And he is this like sadistic, spooky man-child cult leader. Definitely, I might put the YouTube link up. Definitely watch that episode. He's spooky as shit. But here, like I said, he's a little more annoying than Chunk. But still, he's right under Jake Lloyd. But there are times when he just kind of grates you, and you're just like, oh, there's a reason why he's called Mouth, because he won't shut the fuck up, and you just wish he would. God, this set design is perfect. I mean, you start out in this lowly house owned by the Walsh family, which is Brand and Mikey, and then you go to when they're in the underground caves. And it's just such a fucking wonderful set. And then the booby traps, the way they're placed, like you have boulders hanging from the fucking ceiling getting ready to crush the kids. There's, it's not here. I don't think it's there's a picture on the DVD. No, but there's a scene where they have to play a piano to be able to get one of the doors. To a drawbridge type door to lower down so they can escape, and it's made of like bamboo reeds, but behind it is this big fucking skeleton, and it's so wonderfully well done. And then when they finally get to the pirate ship, that is one of the coolest fucking pirate ships I've ever seen on screen. I mean, I think it's better than any CGI pirate ship you've seen, better than Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just fantastic. The character of Sloth, like I said, he's a deformed person, where half of his face is down here. He's got like a pinhead, like you've seen, like if you've ever seen American Horror Story or Freaks, or a fucking Ramones video. They have a character that's called the Pinhead. He's very, very well done, and kind of gross looking. So I don't know who did the makeup effects. It doesn't say, because this is very bare bones here with the credits. But props to you, dude. Whoever the fuck you are, you did a fantastic job. The relationship between Sloth and Chunk, very, very sweet. Chunk, even though obviously he's the kid, and Sloth is, you don't know his age, but he's obviously a grown man. It seems like Chunk is taking the big brother role and looking out for Sloth. And in the end, like I said, spoilers, after the Fratellis are caught, Chunk has Sloth come to live with them. And it's a very, very sweet, sweet moment. Right after, a goofy moment where, the parents find him, hey, we brought you pizza. We're happy you're safe, but we brought you, Domino's pizza. It's just a fucking plug for Domino's. the look of One-Eyed Willy, the skeleton, you know, the pirate, but his skeleton is also so cool. Finding random skeletons and booby traps on his pirate ship. Great. Keeps you on the edge of your seat because there are random booby traps throughout the entire movie. And they're so creative. They're like, what the hell are they called? Where one thing falls and it causes another thing to happen and causes another thing to happen and it causes another thing to happen. So ingenious and creative. I can't fucking think of the name. I know, you all know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll edit the word into, because I now know how to do some fucking subtitles on my videos. Yeah, cannot praise this movie enough. Roger, if you're watching, I remember Roger's one of my buddies, you know, that I talk to on YouTube a lot and Facebook. Cool cat. You didn't like it a long time ago, and then recently, another reason what gave me the idea to review this movie is you gave it a second shot and you really, really enjoyed it. And I'm glad, because like I said, if you just give this movie a shot, and I really, really couldn't understand why you wouldn't enjoy it. I mean, there are some people that don't, because I met a couple, which is, hey, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But I cannot praise this movie enough. It's so creative, touching moments, great soundtrack of the score. There's like one song done by Cyndi Lauper, which, if you have the DVD, one of the bonus features of this DVD is probably like a 10-minute music video of Cyndi Lauper singing. The song is called "The Goonies Are Good Enough," starring her and the cast of the Goonies and fucking Captain Lou Albano and Rowdy Piper, the Iron Sheik, Classy Freddie Blassie, Fabulous Moolah, Wendy Richter, Nikolai Volkov, and fucking Andre the Giant. Yes, that is probably the best bonus feature on this DVD. Plus, there's, you know, deleted scenes and stuff like that, making of. But seriously, if you've never seen the music video for The Goonies Are Good Enough, just YouTube it. Even if you don't want to buy the video, it's so fun. Which is what this movie is. It's probably one of the most. It really brings me back to my childhood. I never get sick of this movie, but like I said earlier, I don't try to watch it so much now because I still want to enjoy it, and I think I always will. I can never, you know, bash this movie because it's not perfect, because Corey Feldman kind of walks that line, and then Chunk can get pretty annoying too. But look at the set design here, you know, just the waterfalls and so fantastic. So in the end, I guess I'm rambling again, and I just keep saying the same thing. Goonies, damn near perfect movie, so much fun. If you're my age and you watched it as a child, it got the huge nostalgia factor, got the huge Steven Spielberg influence, and another really cool thing, like on the bonus features actually, is there is a like picture-in-picture commentary of the entire cast of the Goonies now, and you see them picture-in-picture as they're watching the movie, which is so cool to see where they're at. And it's funny. It's actually funny that Chunk, the fat kid, is now skinny, and Sean Astin got fat because he was becoming Sam from Lord of the Rings at the time that this was done. So in closing, thank you for watching. Hopefully, if you're a new viewer, welcome. Please subscribe or watch my other videos. I'm doing somewhat okay. Got 30 subscribers now, which I really thank you for. Please please comment below if you have any suggestions for movies for me to watch and give you my opinion on. Even if you want to be a fucking asshole and like suggest something that you know I'll hate, like Halloween 5, which I mention in all my fucking videos. I just hate that movie so much. But we're not going to take away from the Goonies. Just interaction in general. I just love talking to people. But yeah, whatever. Like and subscribe, yada yada yada. Tell your friends about my channel if you actually like it. And like I said, I am looking for more subscribers. If you hate this video, if you hate all my other videos, fine, that's your choice. But tell your enemy then, because you know what? Maybe you should put him, through some pain and torture, and then maybe he'll like this video and subscribe to it. So in the end, cheers. Go see the Goonies, or go watch the Goonies. You can't see it because it's not in the fucking theaters. And Rocky Road.